Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us today. Bitcoin is screaming to new all-time highs, currently sitting at $121,000. Oh my, that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. The inverse head and shoulders that has brought us into this sign of strength. For those of you who've been following the channel for quite some time, you'll know that the Wyckoff methodology is one of our favorites. What we do is look for horizontal channels and breakouts within those channels. So this is a fairly complex pattern. But if you were in the private group, we were having conversations and this was identified as an inverse head and shoulders. As soon as that broke out, we started the sign of strength pattern. Now, a few weeks ago, when the bombs were dropping on Iran, I made a video that I said, when they start dropping bombs, we open longs. And a few people messaged and they're like, oh, Tio, don't you know the global conflict is so bad? Blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, okay. Duh, always. But the fun thing is you should know by now that anytime something bad goes, anytime, there's a reason why the term blood in the streets, buy when there's blood in the streets, has worked for generations. Because human consciousness, human emotion doesn't change all that much. It stays relatively the same. And over those years, this is what we look for. We look for moments that bring peak fear into the market. Here's one of them. Here's another peak fear, the spring moment way back here. This one. This is when Trump tariffs came in. This was the bombs in Iran. Blah. These are actually great moments. Chaos is opportunity. Now, the first sign of strength here, we had pulled a Fibonacci channel on. And we are about to rip up there. It's at around 129,000. We pulled that last time, and here we go, around 136,000 for the SOS. So I suspect the SOS is going to go to around 136, and then we're going to get a fairly nice backup phase here. So if we take the previous breakout as an example, once we got outside the top of the box here, Bitcoin just ripped for quite a while. In fact, the first extension of the previous box was about 50% from the top of the box. So if we were to have an equal high on that, which would be 50%, that should bring us upwards to approximately the $150,000 mark. And I think that that's where our SOS is going to bring us to. So my initial SOS targets are around 150, and that's from a fib pull of, or there we go, this complete range itself. So we're using the back right hand shoulder of this range to pull a 4236. So I think the SOS and the backup phase end up maybe as high as $152,000. We're going to see some consolidation in this area over the next little while, but that first target of $150,000 I'm going to stand beside. Now after that, what do I think is going to happen? I think we see a big run up, a drop back down, an LPS range, and then a big shoot up into $200,000. Now, how do we get to the hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, our good old friends at Bitcoin Magazine Pro have shared with us this long-standing chart. The stock to flow model has us running up to a $340,000 Bitcoin price. As you can see, we have not entered the green territory either. So usually the finality of the bull market is this nice green color. We're just starting to get into that. So I suspect we're going to have a fairly nice run for the rest of the market cycle ahead of us. So with that in mind, I had made an analogy to gold last time and where I thought we were and what was going to happen over the next 2 months. So all the way back here for the 2008 run up, we had a very similar analog for what gold was doing to what Bitcoin has done now, was this nice inverse head and shoulders, the break of the inverse head and shoulders, your first SOS, the backup phase, and then afterwards all you saw was just reaccumulation ranges, one right after the other for gold, all the way up into screaming new all-time highs. And I think that's what's going to happen here for Bitcoin, probably upwards of around $340,000. So I'm revising my top targets to around $340,000, but this current SOS, I believe, is going to run to about 150 and may even back check all the way down to where we are today. So I think this is the perfect analog of what Bitcoin just did, this beautiful inverse head and shoulders, and then the SOS, which is we've just started now. So beautiful inverse head and shoulders, and the SOS for the market starting right here. As you can see, the tightness of this range that we just broke out of too, for all of you that were in the bear den, I was like, could it be so perfect? Is this not a picture perfect reaccumulation range with the perfect backup here too? This SOS and the backup phase not being able to close back within the box. Boom, big blow up. And here we're going to see the first LPSs as well. So these are usually where it comes back down. People want it to go lower. It doesn't go much lower. And then boom, it shoots back up to around 136,000 for the next LPS range, break back down, and then upwards to 150,000. Now, across the board, we've actually seen these reaccumulation channels take place. So Tau moving through the middle of its box. Psi has actually already moved nicely into its SOS and backup phase. So I suspect we're witnessing a backup phase for Psi right now. And this beautiful, again, just another beautiful reaccumulation right from the bottom of the box, breakout, a small inverse head and shoulders, boom, boom, boom. Again, scale and variance. You need to do your homework to catch up on these things, I'm sure. And then here we are, a horizontal reaccumulation range right out of the back of the box. This is the SOS and backup phase. These are the most profitable, least risky, and the fastest performing potential ways to make a trade. So I've been taking a few small leverage trades. Actually, just for fun, Blowfin, I think that's how you pronounce it. They offered me some free trading capital of a few $100 to fuck around with. And I had a nice 80% trade earlier. It's a nice exchange so far. I'm just playing around with it. Don't sign up yet. The goal here is, I do use leverage at very specific points in the market because I can just keep increasing my Bitcoin holdings with very little risk. And that's the name of the game. I don't want you guys losing capital. I don't want anybody losing capital. So the name of the game here is, how do you accumulate more assets? And that's by borrowing money for me when the time is right. So when Bitcoin jumped up here, we took out another leverage position and added to our Bitcoin holdings in total, because when you see a market set up like this, even though it was last minute, we jumped in around right here, it's still a 10% move at around 3 to 5x. It's your double it. You're like 20 to 30% of the whatever capital you're playing with. So don't play with money that you cannot afford to use if you're new to leverage. I don't suggest anyone doing it, necessarily speaking. But if you do know how to play and you do know where we are in the markets, it's just a way to keep stacking more Satoshis. So that's part of that story there. But we're into a beautiful SOS phase here. I suspect it could go quite a bit higher than most people are thinking. Once the market maker goes into that mode, that's usually how it works. So we're still waiting for the backup phase. The 4-hour stochastic RSI had already totally reset. The 6-hour couldn't fully turn down, but it bounced back up. I suspect in the next little bit here, we're going to see a total reset of the 6-hour and the daily, and that's where the backup phase will be for me. So I'll be looking really importantly for a return of the stochastic RSI on the 6-hour and the daily all the way back down to the bottom, and that to me will signal the backup phase and the last kind of dance before it potentially goes screaming up again higher. But again, if we compare this analogy to gold, what we saw gold do was consistent reaccumulation patterns, one right after another. SOS, backup, reaccumulation, SOS, backup, boom. And these are all really nice, fairly stable horizontal channels. I think for the first time, Bitcoin's going to give us this really beautiful kind of stepping stone reaccumulation channel all the way up to $360,000. So it's going to be a ton of fucking fun to play in if you know what you're doing. Anyways, this Tea with the Arcane Bear, I just wanted to come out here and enjoy Bitcoin at brand new all-time highs. This channel has been running since Bitcoin was hundreds of dollars. So it's fun to be able to join in and share this journey of what I think we're going into next, this comparison of gold and how that's going to play out with Bitcoin, which I believe you're just going to see one nice reaccumulation channel after the other as we stair step our way to probably $360,000 by the end of this cycle. So just a rough estimate. Let's see. I should probably draw it in and just to see if it gets even close. We get an SOS and a backup phase here between 136. We chop around. We get our first SOS and backup, and then we move into the next. And we probably just form reaccumulation after reaccumulation. That's my guess. Into the $150,000 and then upwards and beyond. Steel with the Arcane Bear. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Please share this video far and wide. We're going to be opening up a special discount to sign up for the private newsletter and the private group. I'm going to spin around, make sure that there's an option to pay for just the newsletter or the private group if you want to, because I know a few of you guys had asked for that to be included the last go around. So we're working on all these things. Just I do it mostly by myself now because it's easier to keep track of everything, and I'll be posting videos pretty much every day throughout this movement because I think it's going to be one of the most exciting times to be in the Bitcoin space because it's going to be up and out for quite a while, and most of these are just going to be reaccumulation boxes, which means it's a great opportunity to participate. We'll see you guys on the next episode.